Tell me, Muse, of the man of many ways who was driven far journeys after he had sacked Troy's sacred citadel. Many were they whose cities he saw, whose minds he learned of. Many the pains he suffered in his spirit on the wide sea, struggling for his own life and the homecoming of his companions. Even so, he could not save his companions, hard though he strove to. They were destroyed by their own wild recklessness, fools who devoured the oxen of Helios, the sun god, and he took away the day of their homecoming. From some point here, goddess, daughter of Zeus, speak and begin our story. Then all the others, as many as fled sheer destruction, were at home now, having escaped the sea and the fighting. This one alone, longing for his wife and his homecoming, was detained by the queenly nymph Calypso, bright among goddesses in her hallowed caverns, desiring that he should be her husband. But when in the circling of the years, that very year came in which the gods had spun for him his time of homecoming to Ithaca, not even then was he free of his trials, nor among his own people. But all the gods pitied him except Poseidon. He would relentlessly angry with godlike Ulysses until his return to his own country. But Poseidon was gone now to visit the far Ethiopians, most distant of men, who lived divided, some at the setting of Hyperion, some at his rising, receiving the hecatomb of bulls and lambs. There he sat at the feast and took his pleasure. Meanwhile the other Olympian gods were gathered together in the halls of Zeus. First among them to speak was the father of gods and mortals, for he was thinking in his heart of his stately Aegisthus, whom Orestes, Agamemnon's far-famed son, had murdered. Mumbling, he spoke now before the immortals. Oh, for shame, heaven knows, put the blame upon us gods, for they say evils come from us, but it is they, rather, who by their own recklessness bring sorrow beyond what is given, as now lately beyond what was given. Aegisthus married the wife of Atreus' son, and murdered him on his homecoming. Though he knew it was sheer destruction, for we ourselves had told him, sending Hermes the mighty watcher, ergo Fontes, not to kill the man, nor court his lady for murder. For vengeance would come on him from Orestes, son of Atreides, whenever he came away and longed for his own country. So Hermes told him that for all his kind intention, he could not persuade the mind of Aegisthus, and now he was paid for everything. Then in turn the goddess grey-eyed Athena answered him, Son of Cronos, our father, our lordliest of the mighty, Aegisthus indeed has been struck down in death by men. But any other man who does thus perish as he did, the heart in me is torn for the sake of wise Odysseus, unhappy man, who still, far from his friends, the suffering Greeks, on the sea-washed island, the navel of all the waters, a wooded island, and there a goddess has made her dwelling place. She is daughter of malignant Atlas, who has discovered all the depths of the sea, and himself sustains the towering columns which bracket earth and sky and heaven together. This is his daughter. She detains the grieving, unhappy man, and ever with soft and flattering words she works to charm him for that Ithaca. And yet Odysseus, straining to get sight of the very smoke uprising from his own country, longs But you, Olympian, the heart in you is heedless of him. Did not Odysseus do you grace by the ships of your deeds, making sacrifice in wild flood? Why, Zeus, are you now so harsh with him? Then in turn Zeus, who gathers the clouds, made answer. My child, what sort of word escaped your teeth's brain? How could I forget Odysseus the godly, he who is beyond all other men and men, and who beyond others has given sacrifice to the gods who hold one heaven? It is the earth circler Poseidon who, ever relentless, nurses a grudge because the Cyclops, whose eye he blinded, for Polyphemus, like a god, whose power is greatest over all cyclops. Creusa, a nymph, was his mother, and she was daughter of Phorcys, lord of the barren salt water. She in the hollows of the caves had lain with Poseidon. For his sake, Poseidon, shaken of the earth, although he does not kill Odysseus, but drives him back from the land of his father. But come, let all of us who are here work out his homecoming and seek him when he returns. Poseidon shall put away his anger, for all alone against the will of the other immortal gods united, he can accomplish nothing. Then in turn, the goddess grey-eyed Athene answered him. Son of Cronos, our father, O lordliest of the mighty, if in truth this is pleasing to the blessed immortals, that Odysseus of the many designs shall return home, then let us dispatch Hermes, the god, the slayer of Argos, to the island of Ogygia, so that with all speed we may announce to the lovely-haired nymph our absolute purpose, the homecoming of enduring Odysseus, that he shall come back. But I shall make my way to Ithaca, so that I may stir up his son a little, and put some confidence in him, to summon into assembly the flowing-haired Achaeans, and make a statement to all the suitors, who now forever slaughter his crowding sheep and lumbering horn-curved cattle. And I will convey him into Sparta and to sandy Pylos, to ask after his dear father's homecoming, if he can hear something, and so that among people he may win a good reputation. Speaking so, she bound upon her feet the fair sandals, golden and immortal, that carried her over the water as over the dry, boundless earth abreast of the wind's blast. Then she caught up a powerful spear edged with sharp bronze, heavy, huge, thick, wherewith she beats down the battalions of fighting men, against whom she of the mighty father is anchored, and descended in a flash of speed from the peaks of Olympus, and lighted in the land of Ithaca, at the doors of Odysseus at the threshold of the court, and in her hand was the bronze spear. She was disguised as a friend, leader of the Taphians, Mentees. There she found the haughty suitors. They, at the moment in front of the doors, were amusing their spirits with draft skins, sitting about on skins of cattle whom they had slaughtered themselves, and about them, other heralds and hard-looking henchmen, some with the mixing bowls for combining wine and water, while others again with porous sponges were wiping the tables and setting them out, and others cutting meat and drinking. Now far the first to see Athene was godlike Telemachus, as he sat among the suitors, his heart deep grieving within him, imagining in his mind his great father, how he might come back and all throughout the house might cause the suitors to scatter, and hold his rightful place, and be lord of his own possessions. With such thoughts, sitting among the suitors, he saw Athene and went straight to the forecourt. The heart within him scandalized that a guest should still be standing at the doors, he stood beside her and took her by the right hand, and relieved her of the bronze spear, and spoke to her and addressed her in winged words. Welcome, stranger. You shall be entertained as a guest among us. Afterward, when you have tasted dinner, you shall tell us what your need is. So speaking, he led the way, and Pallas Athene followed. Now when the two of them were inside the lofty dwelling, he took the spear he carried and set it against a tall column in the rock for spears of polished wood, where indeed there were other spears of patient-hearted Odysseus standing in numbers. And he led her and seated her in a chair with a cloth to sit on, the chair splendid and elaborate. For her feet there was a footstool. For himself he drew a painted bench next to her, apart from the others, the suitors, for fear the guest, made uneasy by the uproar, might lose his appetite there among overbearing people, and so he might also ask him about his absent father. A maidservant brought water for them, and poured it on a splendid and golden pitcher, holding it above a silver basin for them to wash, and she pulled a polished table before them. A grave housekeeper brought in the bread and served it to them, adding many good things to it, generous with her provisions, while the carver lifted platters of all kinds of meat, and set them in front of them, and placed beside them the golden goblets, and a herald, going back and forth, poured the wine for them. When the haughty suitors came in, and all of them straightway took their places in order on chairs and along the benches, and their heralds poured water over their hands for them to wash with, and the serving maids brought them bread heaped up in the baskets, and the young men filled the mixing bowls with wine for their drinking. They put their hands to the good things that lay ready before them. But when they had put away their desire for eating and drinking, the suitors found their attention turned to other matters, the song and the dance, for these things come at the end of the feasting. A herald put a beautifully wrought lyre in the hands of females, who sang for the suitors because they made him. He played his lyre and struck up a fine song. Meanwhile, Telemachus talked to Athene of the grey eyes, leaning his head close to her, so that none of the others might hear. Dear stranger, would you be scandalized at what I say to you? This is all they think of, the lyre and the singer. Easy for them, since without penalty they eat the substance of a man whose white bones lie out in the rain and fester somewhere on the mainland, or roll in the wash of the breakers. If they were ever to see him coming back to Ithaca, all the prayer of them all would be to be lighter on their feet, instead of to be richer men for gold and clothing. As it is, he has died by an ill fate, and there is no comfort left for us, not even though someone among mortals tells us he will come back. His day of homecoming is prayer. But come now, tell me this, and give me an accurate answer. What man are you, and whence? Where is your city? Your parents? What kind of ship did you come here on? And how did the sailors bring you to Italy? What men do they claim that they are? For I do not think you could have traveled on foot to this country. And tell me this too. Tell me truly, so that I may know it. Are you here for the first time, or are you a friend of my father from abroad? Since many other men too used to come and visit our house in the days when we used to go about among people. Then in turn, the goddess gray-eyed Athene answered her. See, I will accurately answer all that you ask me. I announce myself as Mendes, son of Amphialus, the wise, and my lordship is over the oar-loving Taphians. Now I've come in, as you see, with my ship and companions sailing over the wine-blue water to men of alien language, to Tennis after bronze, and my cargo is gleaming iron. And my ship stands nearby, at the country away from the city, at the harbor, Wraithbound, underneath wooded Neon. Your father and I claim to be guest friends by heredity from far back. As you would know if you went to the aged hero Laertes, who they say no longer comes to the city now, but away by himself on his own land leads a hard life with an old woman to look after him, who serves him as victuals and drink at the times when the weariness has befallen his body from making his toilsome way on the high ground of his vineyard. Now I have come. They told me he was here in this country, your father, I mean. But no, the gods are impeding his path, for no death on land has befallen the great Odysseus. But somewhere, alive on the wide sea, he is held captive, on a sea-washed island, and savage men have him in their keeping, rough men, who somehow keep him back though he is unknown. Now, I will make you a prophecy, in the way the immortals put it into my mind, and as I think it will come out, though I am no prophet, nor do I know the ways of birds clearly. He will not be long absent from the beloved land of his fathers, even if the bonds that hold him are iron, but he will be thinking of a way to come back, since he is a man of many resources. But come now, tell me this, and give me an accurate answer. Are you, big as you are, the very child of Odyssey? Indeed, you are strangely like about the head, the fine eyes, as I remember. We used to meet so often together before he went away to Troy, where others beside him in the greatest of the Argives winked in their hollow vessels. Since that time I have not seen Odysseus, nor has he seen me. Then the thoughtful Telemachus said to him in answer, See, I will accurately answer all that you ask me. My mother says indeed I am his. I, for my part, do not know. Nobody really knows his own father. But how I wish I could have been rather son to some fortunate man, whom old age overtook among his possessions. But of mortal men, that man has proved the most ill-fated whose son they say I am, since you question of his mother. Then in turn the goddess Grey-Eyed answered him, The gods have not made wars of birth that will go names hereafter, since Penelope bore such a son as you are. But come now, tell me this, and give me an accurate answer. What feast is this? What gathering? How does it concern you? A festival or a wedding? Surely no communal dinner. How insolently they seem to swagger about in their feasting all through the house. A serious man who came in among them could well be scandalized, seeing much disgraceful behavior. Then the thoughtful Telemachus said to him also, My guest, since indeed you are asking me all these questions, there was a time this house was one that might be prosperous and above reproach, and a certain man was here in his country. But now the gods, with evil intention, have willed it otherwise, and they have caused him to disappear, in a way no other man has done. I should not have sorrowed so over his dying if he had gone down among his companions in the land of the Trojans, or in the arms of his friends after he had wound up the fighting. So all the Achaeans would have heaped a grave mound with him, and he would have won great fame for himself and his son here. But now ingloriously the storm winds have packed and carried him away, out of sight, out of knowledge, and he left pain and lamentation to me. Nor is it for him alone that I grieve in my pain now, no longer, for the gods have inflicted other cares on me. For all the greatest men who have the power in the islands, and do with Yon and Sunny, and the wood in Psyche, and all who in lofty Ithaca are holders of lordships, all these are after my mother for marriage and their my household. And she does not refuse the hateful marriage, nor is she able to make an end of the matter. And these, eating up my substance, wasted away, and soon they will break me myself into pieces. Pallas Athene answered him in great indignation. Oh, for shame! How great your need is now of the absent Odysseus, who would lay his hands on these shameless suitors. I wish he could come now to stand in the outer doorway of his house, wearing a helmet and carrying a shield and 2 spears, the way he was the first time that I ever saw him in my own house, drinking his wine and taking his pleasure, coming in from afar and from Ilo's son of my mouths. Odysseus, you see, had gone there also in his swift ship in search of a poison to kill men, so he might have it to smear on his bronze-headed arrows. Ilos would not give him any, since he feared the gods who endure forever. But my father did give it to him, so terribly did he love him. I wish that such an Odysseus would come now among the suitors. They all would find death was quick, and marriage a painful matter. Yet all these things that are lying upon the god's knees, whether he will come home to his vengeance here in his household, or whether he will not. Rather, I will urge you to consider some means by which you can force the suitors out of your household. Come now, pay close attention to me, and do as I tell you. Tomorrow, summon the Achaean warriors into assembly and publish your word to all. Let the gods be your witnesses. Tell the suitors to scatter and go back to their own holding. But as for your mother, if the spirit urges her to be married, let her go back to the palace of her powerful father, and they shall appoint the marriage and arrange for the wedding presents in good manner, as ought to go with the beloved daughter. But for yourself, I will counsel you shrewdly, and hope you will listen. Fit out a ship with 20 heroes, the best you can come up, and go out to ask about your father who is so long absent. On the chance some royal man can tell you, who has listened to rumors sent by Zeus. She more than others spreads news among people. First go to Pylos and there question great Nestor, and from there go over to Sparta to see fair-haired Menelaus, since he came home last of all the bronze-armored Achaeans. Thus, if you hear your father is alive and on his way home, then, hard-pressed though you are, you should still hold out for another year. But if you hear he has died and lives no longer, then make your way home to the beloved land of your fathers, and pile up the tomb in his honor, and there make sacrifices and pay them out as bidden. And give your mother to a husband. Then, after you have made an end of these matters and done them, next you must consider well in your heart and spirit some means by which you can kill the suitors who are in your household, by treachery or open attack. You should not go on clinging to your childhood. You are no longer of an age to do that. Or have you not heard what glory was won by great Ulysses among all mankind when he killed the murderer of his father? the treacherous Aegisthus, who had slain his famous father. So you too, dear friend, since I can see you are big and splendid, be bold also, so that in generations to come they will praise you. Now it is time for me to go back down to my flagship and my companions, who must be very restless waiting for me. Let all this be in your mind, and do as I tell you. Then the thoughtful Telemachus said to her in answer, My guest, your words to me are very kind and considerate, what any father would say to his son. I shall not forget them. But come now, stay with me, eager though you are for your journey, so that you may first bathe and take your ease and well rested and happy in your heart, then go back to your ship with a present, something prized, altogether fine, which will be your keepsake from me, what loving guests and hosts bestow on each other. Then in turn, the goddess Grey-eyed Athene answered me, Do not detain me longer, eager as I am on my journey. Not yet. Whatever it is your dear heart bids you give me, save it to give when I come next time, so I can take it home, and choose a good one, and a fair exchange will befall me. So spoke the goddess Grey-eyed Athene, and there she departed like a bird soaring high in the air. But she left in his spirit determination and courage, and he remembered his father even more than he had before. And he guessed the meaning, and his heart was full of wonder, for he thought it was a divinity. At once he went over, a godlike man, to sit with the suitors. The famous singer was singing to them, and they in silence sat listening. He sang of the Achaeans' bitter homecoming from Troy, which Pallas Athene had inflicted upon them. The daughter of Icarius, circumspect Penelope, heard and heeded the magical song from her upper chamber, and descended the high staircase that was built in her palace, not all alone, since 2 handmaidens went to attend her. When she, shining among women, came near the suitors, she stood by the pillar that supported the roof with its joinery, holding her shining veil in front of her face to shield it, and a devoted attendant was stationed on either side of her. All in tears, she spoke them the divine singing. Females, since you know many other actions of mortals and gods, which can charm men's hearts and which the singers celebrate, sit beside them and sing one of these, and let them in silence go on drinking their wine, but leave off singing this sad song, which always afflicts the dear heart deep inside me, since the unforgettable sorrow comes to me beyond others. So dear a heart do I long for, whenever I am reminded of my husband, whose fame goes wild through Hellas and midnight's hours. And the thoughtful Telemachus said to her in answer, Ah, my mother, do you begrudge this excellent singer, his pleasing himself as the thought drives him? It is not the singers who are to blame, it must be Zeus to blame, who gives out to men who eat bread to each and all the way and gives it. There is nothing wrong in singing the sad return of the times. People surely always give more applause to that song which is the latest to circulate among Ulysses. So let your heart and let your spirit be hardened to listen. Odysseus is not the only one who lost his homecoming day at Troy. There were many others who perished besides him. Go therefore back to my house and take up young work, the loom and the distaff, and see to it that your handmaidens ply their work also. Let the men see the discussion, I know that I may do all, for mine is the power in his hand. Now he went back inside the house in amazement, for she laid the serious words of her song deep away in her spirit. And she went back to the upper story of her attendant women, and wept for Odysseus, her beloved husband, until gray-eyed Athene cast sweet slumber over her eyelids. But the suitors all through the shadowy halls were raising a tumult, and all prayed for the privilege of lying beside her. And the thoughtful Telemachus began speaking among them. You suitors of my mother, overbearing in your rapacity, now let us dine and take our pleasure. Let there be no shadow, since it is a splendid thing to listen to a singer who is such a singer as this man is, with a voice such as gods have. Then tomorrow let us all go to the place of assembly and hold a session, where I will give you my forthright statement that you go out of my palace and do your feasting elsewhere, eating up your own possessions, taking turns, household by household. But if you decide it is more profitable and better to go on, eating up one man's livelihood without payment, then spoil my house. I will cry out to the gods everlasting in the hope that Zeus might somehow grant a reversal of fortune. Then you may perish in this house with no payment given. So he spoke, and all of them bit their lips in amazement at Telemachus in the daring way he had spoken to them. It was Antinous, the son of Eupeithes, who answered, Telemachus, surely it must be the very gods who prompt you to take the imperious line and speak so daringly to us. I hope the son of Cronos never makes you our king in sea-girt Ithaca, though to be sure that is your right by inheritance. Then the thoughtful Telemachus said to him in answer, Antinous, in case you wonder at what I am saying, I would be willing to take that right if Zeus should give it. Do you think that is the worst thing that could happen to anyone? It is not bad to be a king. Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and razor lay crossed. A yellow dressing gown, ungirdled, was sustained gently behind him by the mild morning air. He held the bowl aloft and intoned, "In Troy halted, he peered down the dark, winding stairs and called out coarsely, "Come up, Tinch, come up, you fearful peasant." Solemnly he came forward and mounted the round gun rest. He faced about and blessed gravely thrice the town, the surrounding country, and the awakening mountains. Then, catching sight of Stephen Daedalus, he bent towards him and made rapid crosses in the air, gurgling in his throat and shaking his head. Stephen Daedalus, displeased and sleepy, leaned his arms on the top of the staircase and looked coldly at the shaking, gurgling face that blessed him, equine in its length, and at the light, untonsured hair, grained and hued like pale oak. Buck Mulligan peeped an instant under the mirror and then covered the bowl smartly. "Back to barracks," he said sternly. He added in a preacher's tone, "For this so dearly beloved is the genuine Christine, body and soul and blood and arms. Slow music, please. Shut your eyes, gents. One moment. A little trouble about those white corpuscles. Silence, all." He peered sideways up and gave a long, low whistle of calm, then paused a while in rapt attention, his even white teeth glistening here and there on the words. Chrysostom. Too strong, shrill whisper. Too strong, shrill whistles answer. "Thanks, old chap," he cried briskly. "That will do nicely. Switch off the current, will you?" He skipped off the gun rest and looked gravely at his watcher, gathering about his legs the loose folds of his gown. One shadowed face and sullen oval jowl recalled a prelate, patron of arts in the Middle Ages. A pleasant smile broke quietly over his lips. In mockery of it, he said again, "Your absurd name, ancient creed." He pointed his finger in friendly jest and went over to the parapet, laughing to himself. Stephen Daedalus stepped up, followed him wearily halfway and sat down on the edge of the gunrest, watching him still as he propped his mule on the parapet, dipped the brush in the bowl, and lathered cheeks and neck. Buck Mulligan's gay voice went on. "My name is absurd too, Malachi Mulligan, 2 daffodils. But it has a Hellenic ring, isn't it?" Tripping in sunny like the buck himself. "We must go to Athens. Will you come if I can get the ant to work out 20 gold?" He laid the brush aside and, laughing with delight, cried, "Will he come, the jejune Jesuit?" Ceasing, he began to shave with care. "Tell me, Mulligan," Stephen said quietly. "Yes, my lord?" "How long is Haynes going to stay in this tower?" Buck Mulligan showed a shaven cheek over his right shoulder. "God, isn't he dreadful," he said frankly. "The ponderous Saxon. He thinks you're not a gentleman. God, this bluffing Richard, bursting with money and indigestion. Because he comes from Oxford. And you know, Daedalus, you have the real Oxford man. He can't make you out. Oh, my name for you is the best. King, the night blood." He shaved warily over his chin. "He was raving all night about a black panther," Stephen said. "Where is his gun case?" "A woeful lunatic," Mulligan said. "Where you are from?" "I was," Stephen said, energy and growing free. "Out here in the dark with a man I don't know, raving and moaning to himself about shooting a black panther. You saved men from drowning. I'm not a hero, however. He stays on here. Buck Mulligan frowned at the lather on his razor blade. He hopped down from his perch and began to search his trouser pockets hastily. "Scudder," he cried. He came over to the gunrest and, thrusting a hand into Stephen's upper pocket, said, "Lend us a loan of your nose rag with my razor." Stephen suffered him to pull out and hold up on show by his corner a dirty, crumpled handkerchief. Buck Mulligan wiped the razor blade neatly. Then, gazing on the handkerchief, he said, "The bard's nose rag, a new art cover for Irish poets, snot green. You can almost taste it, can't you?" He mounted to the parapet again and gazed out over Dublin Bay, his fair, pale hair stirring slightly. "God," he said quietly, "isn't the sea what Andrew calls it? A grey, sweet mother? The snot-green sea, the scrotum-tightening sea, Ebion Ponte. Ah, Daedalus, the Greeks. I must teach you. I must read them in the original. The Latin. She is our great, sweet mother. Come and look." Stephen stood up and went over to the parapet. Leaning on it, he looked down on the water and on the mailboat crew in the harbor mouth of Kingston. "What a mighty mother," Buck Mulligan said. He turned abruptly, his great, searching eyes from the sea to Stephen's face. "The ant thinks you killed your mother," he said. "That's why she won't let me have anything to do with you." "Someone killed her," Stephen said gloomily. "You could have knelt down, damn it, Kinch. Your dying mother asked you," Buck Mulligan said. "I'm hyperborean as much as you, but to think of your mother begging you with her last breath to kneel down and pray for her, and you refuse. There was something sinister in you." He broke off and lathered again lightly his farther cheek. The tolerant smile curled his lip. "A lovely mother," he murmured to himself. "Kinch, the loveliest mama of them." He shaved evenly, and with care, in silence, seriously. Stephen, an elbow rested on the jagged granite, leaned his palm against his brow and gazed at the fraying edge of his shining black coat sleeve. Pain, that was not yet the pain of love, fretted his heart. Silently, in a dream she had come to him after her death, her wasted body within its loose brown grave clothes, giving off an odor of wax and rosewood. Her breath that had bent upon him, mute, reproachful, a faint odor of wetted ashes. Across the threadbare cuff edge, he saw the sea hailed as a great sweet mother by the well-fed voice beside her. The ring of bay and skyline held a dull green mass of liquid. A bowl of white china had stood beside her deathbed, holding the green sluggish bile she had torn up from her rotting liver by fits of loud, groaning vomiting. Buck Mulligan wiped again his razor blade. "Ah, poor dog's body," he said in a kind voice. "I must give you a shirt and a few nose wraps. How are the second-hand briefs?" "They fit well enough," Stephen answered. Buck Mulligan attacked the hollow beneath his underlip. "The mockery of it," he said contentedly. "Second leg they should be. God knows what poxy bowsy left them on. I have a lovely pair of hairstyle. Great. They look spiffy in there. I'm not looking, kid. They look damn well when you're dressed." "Thanks," Stephen said. "I can't wear them if they're correct." "You can't wear them," Buck Mulligan told his face in the mirror. "Etiquette is etiquette. He kills his weapon, but he can't wear it." He folded his razor neatly and with stroking palps of fingers felt the smooth skin. Stephen turned his gaze from the sea into the plump face with its smoke-blue mobile eyes. "That fellow I was in the ship last night," said Buck Mulligan, "says you have GPI. He's up in Dottyville with Conley Hall. General paralysis of the insane." He swept the mirror in a half-circle in the air to flash the tidings abroad in sunlight now radiant on the sea. His curling, shaven lips laughed, and the edges of his white, glittering teeth. Laughter seized all his strong, well-knit trunk. "Look at yourself," he said, "you dreadful bard." Stephen bent forward and peered at the mirror held out to him, cleft by a crooked cleft, hair on edge. "I see another scene. Who chose this face for me? This dog's body to rid of vermin. It asks me too." I pinched it out of the skidding tune, Buck Mulligan said. "It does her all right. The aunt always keeps plain-looking servants for Malcolm. Lead him not unto temptation." And her name was Ursula. Laughing again, he brought the mirror away from Stephen's peering eyes. The rage of Caliban had not seen his face in a mirror, he said. "If wild were only alive to see you." Drawing back and pointing, Stephen said with bitterness, "Was a symbol of Irish art, the cracked looking glass of a servant." Buck Mulligan suddenly linked his arm in Stephen's and walked with him round the tower, his razor and mirror clacking in the pocket where he had thrust them. "It's not fair to tease you like that, kid, is it?" he said kindly. "God knows you have more spirit than any of them." Period again. "He fears the lancet of my arm as I fear that of his, the corporal steel pen. Cracked looking glass of a servant. Tell that to the Oxy chap downstairs and touch him for a guinea. He's stinking with money and thinks you're not a German. His old fellow made his tin by selling jolly zebras or some bloody swindle or other. God, Kinch, if you and I could only work together, we might do something for the island. Helen has it." Grandma's arm. His arm. "And to think of your having to beg for this swine. I'm the only one who knows what you want. Why don't you trust me more? What have you up your nose against me? Is it Hayes? If he makes any noise here, I'll bring down Seymour and we'll give him a ragging worse than they gave Clive Kempthorne. Young shouts of moneyed voices in Clive Kempthorne's rooms, pale faces, they hold their ribs with laughter, one clasping another. Oh, I shall expire, read the news to her gently out. I shall die. With slit ribbons of his shirt whipping the air, he hops and hobbles round the table, with trousers down at heels, chased by aids of Magdalene, with the tailor's shears. A scared cat's face gilded with marmalade. I don't want to be D-pad, don't you play the giddy ox with me. Shouts from the open window, starting in evening in the quadrangle. A deaf gardener, aproned, masked with Matthew on its face, pushes his mower on the somber lawn, watching narrowly the dancing motes of grass hounds. To ourselves, you paganism, humbleness. Let him stay, Stephen said. There's nothing wrong with him, except the man. Then what is it? Buck Mulligan asked impatiently. Cough it up, I'm quite frank with you. What have you against me now? They halted, looking towards the blunt cape of Bray Head that lay on the water like the snap of a sleeping whale. Stephen freed his arm quietly. Do you wish me to tell you? He asked. Yes, what is it? Buck Mulligan answered. I don't remember anything. He looked in Stephen's face as he spoke. The light wind passed his brow, fanning softly his fair, uncombed hair, and stirring silver points of anxiety in his eyes. Stephen, depressed by his own voice, said, Do you remember the first day I went to your house after my mother's death? Buck Mulligan frowned quickly and said, What? Where? I can't remember anything. I remember only ideas and sensations. Why? What happened in the name of God? We were making tea, Stephen said, and I went across the landing to get more hot water. Your mother and some visitor came out of the drawing room. She asked you who was in your room. Yes, Buck Mulligan said. What did I say? I forget. You said, Stephen answered, Oh, it's only Daedalus, whose mother is beastly dead. A flush which made him seem younger and more engaging rose to Buck Mulligan's cheek. Did I say that? Well, what harm was that? He shook his constraint from his lips. And what is death? He asked. Your mother's or yours or mine? You saw only your mother die. I see them pop off every day in the Mater in Richmond and cut up into tracks in the December. It's a beastly thing and nothing else. It simply doesn't matter. You wouldn't kneel down to pray for your mother on her deathbed when she asked you. Why? Because you have the cursed Jesuit strain in you, and it's injected the wrong way. To me, it's all a mockery and beastly. Her cerebral lobes are not functioning. She calls the doctors her pedal teasel and picks buttercups off the quilt. Humor her till it's over. You crossed her last wish in death, and yet you sulk with me because I don't whinge like some hired mute from Lalouette. Sir, I suppose I did say it. I didn't mean to offend the memory of your mother. He had spoken himself into boldness. Stephen, shielding the gaping wounds which the words had left in his heart, said very coldly, I am not thinking of the offense to my mother. Of what then? Buck Mulligan asked. Of the offense to me, Stephen answered. Buck Mulligan swung round on his heel. Oh, an impossible person, he exclaimed. He walked off quickly round the parapet. Stephen stood at his post, gazing over the calm sea towards the headland. Sea and headland now grew dim. Pulses were beating in his eyes. Failing their sight, he felt the fever of his cheeks. A voice within the tower called loudly, "Are you up there, Mulligan?" "I'm coming," Buck Mulligan answered. He turned towards Stephen and said, "Look at the sea. What does it care about a fencing? Chuck Loyola, Kinch, and come on down. Assassinate wants his morning rations." His head halted again for a moment at the top of the staircase, level with the roof. "Don't mope over it all day," he said. "I'm inconsequent. Give up the moody brooding." His head vanished, but the drone of his descending voice boomed out of the stairway. "And no more turn aside and brood upon love's bitter mystery, for Fergus rules the brazen cars." Wood shadows floated silently by through the morning peace from the stairhead seaward where he gazed. Inshore and farther out the mirror of water whitened, spurned by light shell feet. Light breast of the dim sea. Entwining stresses, two by two. A hand plucking the harp strings, merging their twining chords. Wave white wedded words shimmering on the dim tide. The cloud began to cover the sun slowly, shadowing the bay in deeper green. It lay behind it, a bowl of bitter waters. Fergus saw it. I sang it alone in the house, holding down the long, dark woods. Her door was open. She wanted to hear my music. Silent, with awe and pity, I went to her bedside. She was crying in her wretched bed. Those words, Stephen. Love's bitter mystery. Where now? Her secrets. Old feather fans, tasseled dance cards, powderwood muffs, a god of amber beads in her locked drawer. A bird cage hung in the sunny window of her house when she was a girl. She heard old Royce sing in the pantomime of Turco the Terrible, and laughed with others when he sang, "I'm the boy that can enjoy invisibility." Phantasmal note folded away, musk perfume, and no more turn aside and breathe. Folded away in the memory of nature that told him. Memories beset his brooding brain. Her glass of water from the kitchen tap when she had approached the sacrament. A poured apple filled with brown sugar, roasting for her the hob on a dark autumn evening. Her shapely fingernails reddened by the blood of squashed life in the children's shirts. In a dream, silently, she had come to him, her wasted body within its loose, grave clothes, giving off an odor of wax and rosewood. Her breath bent over him with neat, secret words, a faint odor of wetted ashes. Her blazing eyes, staring out of death, to shake and bend my soul. On me alone, the ghost candle to light her agony. Ghostly light on the tortured face. Her hoarse, loud breath rattling in horror, while all prayed on their knees. Her eyes on me to strike me down. Iliada utorente te confessor tana circunda. Uberante te virgin corpus excipit. Ghoul, chew corpses. No, mother, let me be, and let me live. Kinch, ahoy! Buck Mulligan's voice sang from within the tower. It came nearer up the staircase, calling again. Stephen, still trembling at his sibling's cry, heard warm running sunlight, and the air behind him friendly words. "Daedalus, come down, like a good Mosey. Breakfast is ready. Haynes was apologizing for awaking us last night. It's all right." "I'm coming," Stephen said, "Do, for Jesus' sake," Mulligan said. "For my sake and for all our sake." His head disappeared and reappeared. I told him your symbol of Irish art. He says it's very clever. Touch him for a quid, will you? A guinea. I get paid this morning, Stephen said. The school kid? Buck Mulligan said. How much? 4 quid? Lend us one. If you want it, Stephen said. 4 shining sovereigns, Buck Mulligan cried with delight. We'll have a glorious drunk to astonish the druidy druids. 4 omnipotent sovereigns. He flung up his hands and tramped down the stone stairs, singing out of tune with a Cockney accent. Oh, won't we have a merry time, drinking whiskey, beer, and wine, on Coronation Day. Oh, won't we have a merry time, Coronation Day. Warm sunshine and merry over the sea. The nickel shaving bowl shone, forgotten on the parapet. Why should I bring it down? Or leave it there all day, forgotten friendship? He went over to it, held in his hands a while, feeling its coolness, smelling the clammy slaver of the lather in which the brush was stuck. So I carried the boat of incense then at Clondells. I am a mother now, and yet sailor, a servant too, a servant of a servant. In the gloomy, domed living room of the tower, Buck Mulligan's gown form moved briskly about the hearth to and fro, hiding and revealing its yellow glow. 2 shafts of soft daylight fell across the flagged floor from the high barbicanes, and at the meeting of their rays, a cloud of coal smoke and fumes of fried grease filled up the room. We'll be chilled, Buck Mulligan said. Hey, open that door, will you? Stephen lay in the shaving bowl on the locker. A tall figure rose from the hammock where it had been sitting, went to the doorway, and pulled open the inner doors. Have you the key? Royce asked. Daedalus has one, Buck Mulligan said. Janie Mac got a choke. He howled without looking up from the fire. Pinch. It's in the lock, Stephen said, coming forward. The key scraped round harshly twice, and when the heavy door had been set ajar, welcome light and bright air entered. Haynes stood at the doorway, looking out. Stephen hailed his upbringing Louise to the table and sat down to wait. Buck Mulligan tossed the fry into the dish beside him. Then he carried the dish and a large teapot over to the table, set them down heavily, and sighed with relief. I'm melting, he said as the candle remarked when, but hush, not a word more on that subject, Kinch. Wake up. Bread, butter, honey. Haynes, come in. The grub is ready. Bless us, O Lord, in these thy gifts. It's the sugar. Oh, Jay, no milk. Stephen fetched the loaf and the pot of honey and the butter cooler from the locker. Buck Mulligan sat down in a sudden push. What sort of kip is this, he said. I told her to come after it. We can drink it black, Stephen said. There's a lemon in the locker. Oh, damn you, little Paris fads, Buck Mulligan said. I want Sanditon milk. Haynes came in from the door and said quietly, that woman is coming up with the milk. The blessings of God, Buck Mulligan cried, jumping up from his chair. Sit down, pour out the tea there. The sugar is in the bag. Here, I can't go fumbling with the damned eggs. He hacked through the fry on the dish and slapped it out on 3 plates, saying, In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Haynes sat down to pour out the tea. I'm giving you 2 lumps each, he said. But I say, Mulligan, you do make strong tea, don't you? Buck Mulligan, heaving thick slices from the bowl, said in an old woman's wheedling voice, I makes tea, as our mother Grogan said, and when I makes water, I makes water. By Jove, it is tea, Haynes said. Buck Mulligan went on, human and weeping. "So I do, Mrs. Cahill," says she. "Begod, ma'am," says Mrs. Cahill, "God, you don't make them in that one pot." He lunged toward his messmates and turned a thick slice of bread impaled on his knife. "That's folk," he said very earnestly, "for your book, Haynes. 5 lines of text and 10 pages of notes about the folk and the fish gods of Dunga, printed by the weird sisters in the year of the big wind." He turned to Stephen and asked in a fine, pleasant voice, lifting his brow, "Can you recall, brother, is Mother Grogan's tea and water pot spoken of in Mabinogi, or is in the Upanishad?" "I doubt it," said Stephen. "Do you now?" Buck Mulligan said in the same tone. "Your reasons, pray?" "I fancy," Stephen said, "it did not exist in or out of the Mabinogi. Mother Grogan was, one imagines, kinswoman of Mary Ann." Buck Mulligan's face smiled with delight. "Charming," he said in a finicky, sweet voice, showing his white teeth and blinking his eyes pleasantly. "Do you think she was? Quite charming." Then, suddenly regarding all his features, he growled in a hoarsened, rasping voice as he hewed again vigorously at the loaf. "Oh, Mary Ann, she doesn't care a damn about hizing up her petticoats." He crammed his mouth with fry and munched and groaned. The doorway was darkened by an entering figure. "Milk, sir." "Come in, ma'am," Mulligan said. "Kinch, get the jug." An old woman came forward and stood by Stephen's elbow. "That's a lovely morning, sir," she said. "Glory be to God." "To whom?" Mulligan said, glancing at him. "Ah, to be sure." Stephen reached back and took the milk jug from the locker. "The islanders," Mulligan said to Haynes casually, "speak frequently of the collector precursors." "How much, sir?" asked the old woman. "A quart," Stephen said. He watched her pour into the measure and thence into the jug rich white milk, not hers, old shrunken back. She poured again a measureful and a tin. Old and secret, she had entered from a morning world, maybe a messenger. She praised the goodness of the milk, pouring it out. Crouched by a patient cow at daybreak in the lush field, a witch on a toadstool, her wrinkled fingers quick at the squirting ducks. They lowed about her whom they knew, dew silky cattle, silk of the kind and poor old woman, names given her in old time. A wandering crone, lowly form of an immortal, serving her conqueror and her gay betrayer, their common cuckold, a messenger from the secret morning, to serve or to upbraid, whether he could not tell, but scorn to beg her favor. "It is indeed, ma'am," Buck Mulligan said, pouring milk into their cups. "Taste it, sir," she said. He drank at her bidding. "If we could only live on good food like that," he said to her somewhat loudly, "we wouldn't have the country full of rotten teeth and rotten guts. Living in a bog swamp, eating cheap food, and the streets paved with dust, horse dung, and consumptive spits." "Are you a medical student, sir?" the old woman asked. "I am, ma'am," Buck Mulligan answered. Stephen listened in scornful silence. She bows her old head to a voice that speaks to her loudly, her bone setter, her medicine man. Me she slaps. To the voice that will shrive and oil for the grave all there is of her but her woman's unclean loins, of man's flesh made not in God's likeness, the serpent's prey, and to the loud voice that now bids her be silent, with wondering, unsteady eye.